I did a bit of research on addiction because I don't have any personal experience with addiction of my own. The topic of trauma comes forward very often, whether as a child or as an adult. Can you always link addiction to a certain form of trauma? Um, Also a very good question.
But I don't. Maybe it is. Maybe not.
I think yeah, it's difficult to say because
It depends on the situation of the.
obviously, sorry, you go ahead first.
No, it depends on the situation of the person. If they have divorced parents, if they have a trauma they have in their childhood, it can. Yeah, it depends on the situation of the person, and maybe people with traumas are um, more more they tend to have an addiction
Yeah.
more or less linked in their childhood or in their puberty.
No, I
But
think you're very right there. And I want to add, I don't really think it's much about the trauma itself, but more about the fears that come out of this trauma, I think. We all have fears, and some are exaggerated, some come up at a random moment, some fears are like irrational, and I think we all have ways of coping with these fears. Some will eat, some will smoke, some will go out partying, some will game the whole night, whatever it is. I think everybody has coping mechanisms to go confront to not confront these fears, and I think one of the big ones I think for us was also like not confronting or not trying to get the best out of yourself. So I've always been somebody that I feel like I'm holding back myself. Like I don't want to try to test my full potential. I don't want to see what it is. So
That's a difficult. That's a difficult way of living, also. Eh?
yeah, I think it's well, everybody has their difficulties, I think. So for me, it was not that difficult in a sense, but now I'm at the point that it becomes indeed difficult, because I feel like I want to achieve more than I am achieving.
Mm-hmm.
That's also one of the reasons I started being more open and direct about my addiction the last year, I think. Um, so I've always held myself back in that sense that I never wanted to test my full potential, because if I failed, I would feel like I was not good enough for myself or something like that. So I had always this excuse of, oh, but I'm a stoner. Like it goes kind of both ways. Like people say, oh, you're a stoner, but you can also use it as a cover blanket for yourself. Like, I'm a stoner, so obviously that I'm not a CEO yet, or that I don't have $1 million. You know, that's kind of a blanket that you can give yourself. And I think I want to throw away this blanket. What do you think about it?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there.
Do you also feel this with nicotine? I don't know. I don't have much experience with nicotine addiction, so that's also why I feel it's interesting to have different kind of addictions and see how
I
you
don't
see
think
it.
I have this problem with nicotine. People don't really judge. I in a broad sense of way. Yeah? People who smoke, there's little. There's not so the big stigma around it nowadays. Everybody has their opinion about smoking, but I don't see myself that I have to feel that kind of way that people are thinking of me as a smoker of cigarettes. It's another thing with smoking weed. People start saying he's a smoker. Yeah, everybody knows he's a smoker. What he's doing now, he's gonna smoke, and it's a label that you have on your name a little bit. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. We put it just ourselves there, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and do you think it hides some kind of fear or something for you, or how do you see it?
How do I see it? Did it hide some kind of fear?
Or like a
I think
blanket for you to not achieve what you want to achieve, or what what kind of psychological reasoning do you think there is behind it?
Is there a logical reason behind? I don't know.
Well, I think addictions, for me, it seems like addiction is a coping mechanism for fears that you don't want to acknowledge or challenge, and that's why I'm asking if you feel the same in that sense. Do you have the feeling that you're not dealing with a fear that is maybe suppressed by smoking?
I have had those fears, but I address them now, and I communicated about them, and I've made movies about it. A reportage about it. So I have the feeling I have it under control, and I have addressed it. So I'm not afraid of the fear anymore.
But
I addressed it.
you still have the addiction then, so now it's become separated from each other, you say?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting because I have not felt that way yet. Maybe I do in the future. I think that's interesting. Like maybe you're a bit further already than I am. I'm in this dealing with this addiction.
Maybe.
So I think what we can take away from this whole ups and downs kind of scheme here is that obviously there's like a short-term gain. Like in the near future, you feel better. You feel satisfied. You don't have to feel like you're losing out or something, or that you're not achieving what you want to achieve. But I think the obvious one is that in the long term that we are losing in that sense. That we're taking advantage of it by this addiction, and that we don't utilize the full potential there. What do you think? Do you feel like there's potential loss because of your smoking, or is that not similar for you?
There is potential loss of my smoking, of course.
In the sense that
wouldn't.
maybe your time is used differently, and your money, and that your mind is wondering too much about this.
About smoking cigarettes, you mean?
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of stories about people who stopped smoking cigarettes, and they said, yeah, I was thinking too much about it. Like when I was smoking my cigarette, I was already thinking about the next one. I don't have that feeling.
Okay.
I when I'm smoking cigarettes and I have to work like 2 hours straight, then I tell to myself I've deserved this cigarette that I'm smoking now because I've worked 2 hours. But it can also be that am at home, stand by, waiting for a call to come. Then I smoke 4 cigarettes at an hour because I have the time to do that. So it depends.
So you're actually trying something I'm also trying, or doing something I'm also trying, and that's kind of rewarding yourself with your addiction. And I don't know what your opinion is about that, but I feel like this is also a tricky loop. Maybe I'll give a story about myself for this one. I started working out about 3 to 5 times a week last year, and most of the time I would do this when I was stoned. So I would be smoking, I would feel guilty, I would go to the gym, and then afterwards I would feel satisfied that I did. So the smoking afterwards became more enjoyable, because I was rewarding myself that I went to the gym and that I did that. And I kind of conditioned myself in this way to appreciate the joints more afterwards. But I don't feel like it's something sustainable, if you know what I mean. Like, I think I want to also quit that idea of rewarding myself because I did something. I feel like the reward should come from myself and not from a substance that I can give or cannot give to myself.
It's kind of normal that we reward ourselves when we did something. Reward. I'm sorry for the pronunciation.
No. You're fine.
But if you get out of that stage of rewarding yourself, you do something, so you worked out, and then you can smoke a cigarette or smoke a doobie.
You think it's normal that we reward ourselves with something when we do certain stuff?
It's normal. It's normal, but you have to. You don't have to do it always to reward yourself. You can also be glad because you did something that was great, and don't reward yourself with
and I think that's the most the part I'm struggling with right now. I don't know about you, but rewarding myself feels very insignificant if it's not coupled with a joint or something.
It's difficult, I know.
Feels very like, why am I doing this? And I don't feel like I'm achieving the things I want to achieve, even though I'm on a better path, I think. But it's very difficult, I think, to reward yourself with the addiction that you're trying to lessen. It's a tricky slope, slippery slope.